August 16, 2025. And thought I would talk a little baseball history before I have to get out of here and run some errands and go out and do some research and visit some people today. So I'm going to wait just about, yeah, say about to about the 1 minute mark for people to join who might be interested. Seems like Saturday morning is a good time, and we're going to talk about some things that happened in on August 16th. So, okay, this should be fun. If you like history, I think you should enjoy this. And usually, what I do is I'll give a historic fact, and then I'll give my commentary. And this commentary comes from sitting with this topic for over 40 some odd years, and been sitting with baseball history for over 50 some odd years. So actually, it might be longer than that, close to 60 years, believe it or not. So I've been out here constantly traveling. So anyway, here we go. We're going to jump right into it. So let's go to August 16, 1908. And then Julius London, pitcher for the Houston Black Buffaloes, struck out 12 batters and tossed a 3-hit, 2-0 win over the Dallas Cubs in Texas League action in Houston. Okay, first of all, this is loaded. This is loaded. And it gives me an opportunity to talk about the Texas, what they used to call the Texas Color League, and especially around the years of 1908, 1909, even though it was going before then and continued long after that. But some great players came out of the league, and if you don't know anything about that particular league, you might find some things interesting. The Houston Black Buffaloes were in that league. And of course, Julius London pitched for them. And Julius ended up coming to the town where I grew up, Kansas City, Kansas, and played for the Kansas City, Kansas Giants, is a pitcher there. And they used to play down on, was it 2nd Franklin, in Riverside Park. It wasn't too long, wasn't too far from where I grew up. I lived on 7th Street. They were on 2nd Street, and all that was in walking distance down there. When I came along, I think Stoll School was right in that area, about 2nd and Franklin there. So that was Julius London. Also in that league, okay, where you're going to have the Houston Black Buffaloes, the Dallas Black Giants, and here I mentioned the Cubs, but the Giants were the team that produced people like Frank Wickware. And I don't know if you've followed the Leland Giants, the Lincoln Giants, Schenectady Mohawk Giants. You can go on. And Frank Wickware came out of that league. Frank Wickware originally born in Girard, Kansas, came through Coffeyville, Kansas, and then of course ended up in Oklahoma. And then from Oklahoma, he ended up with the Dallas Giants. And from the Dallas Giants, he played so well, he came to the Chicago Leland Giants. And in 1910, his first season in the Chicago Leland Giants, he won 40 games. And I talk about that in my book, the 1910 Chicago Leland Giants. Other teams in there, San Antonio Black Buffaloes, and their famous pitcher was a guy by the name of Cyclone Joe Williams. Later on, they referred to him as Smokey Joe Williams. He's in Cooperstown, Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, Smokey Joe Williams. There's some great names to come out of there. There was another guy named Jim. They called him Sonny Jim. That's what they called him. And Sonny Jim Hamilton, Sonny Jim Hamilton, he played for the Houston team. He ended up also playing with the Kansas City, Kansas Giants in my hometown. So, and this is all happening around 1910 to 1915. So this is some real, honest to goodness baseball history. And I see Diego has joined. Thank you, Diego, for coming in. And my day is going fine so far, just giving a little baseball information here. Also, there are other teams in the league. Let's do San Antonio. Had the San Antonio Black Senators, the Waco Yellow Jackets. That was Rube Foster's former team. Fort Worth was also in that particular league. So if you don't know much about the Texas Color League, you might want to dig a little bit more into that. Also, I'm going to talk about Curtis Benjamin Roberts. And he was born August the 16th, 1929. And he was one of the first African-American baseball players to play with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And of course, He was born in Pineland. It was in Sabine County, Texas. He joined the Kansas City Monarchs from Oakland, California in the 1940s, 1948, 49. He eventually was sold to the Pirates organization. So let me get a drink of water right quick. Interesting thing about Kirk Roberts is I actually knew his wife. I interviewed her on many occasions. And when he came and played for the Monarchs, he married a Kansas City girl. Her name was Christine. And at the time when I first started doing research back in the 80s, her father was still living too. And if I'm correct, either he stayed on Lock Ridge, I think it was Lock Ridge or Bell Fountain, one of those two streets. I can't remember exactly. I have to think about that. But he was definitely alive and in Kansas City. And of course, Christine passed away in 1999, and May 15th to be exact. And Kirk passed away in November 14, 1969. The interesting thing about Kirk, and Christine told me the story, they were in Oakland, California, and he was changing the tire on his car, and a vehicle came along and hit him and killed him. And so that's Kirk Roberts, one of the early pioneers of integration in Major League Baseball. Also, I'll go to Andrew Rube Foster, and this is August 16, 1922. Andrew Rube Foster's Chicago American Giants beat the Bacharach Giants of Atlantic City 1-0 in a 20-inning game at Chicago's Shoreline Park. Now, on that one, I'll give you some more interesting information. Now, when I think about these long games, and that's 20 innings, that's long extra inning game. And you won't see that anymore in Major League Baseball because of the rule changes. But that was not uncommon back then, and most of these games were day games, and they usually were called because of darkness. But when I think about that, I start to think about going back to the Texas League, because I'm trying to think what year it was. 1908. It was 1908. Frank Wickware pitched a 19-inning game in the colored Texas League, right? And of course, he was with Dallas at the time. And once again, because the game with Rube Foster was taking place in 1922, most people know about that game. Most people won't know about the Frank Wickware 19-inning game. And the thing is, these pitchers would come, and they didn't use a relief pitcher. A pitcher would pitch the entire 19 innings consecutively, and that's what Frank Wickware did in 1908. So I'm gonna go to, let me do one more. This is gonna be August the 16th, 1933. It says, playing before a crowd of 2,500, T.J. Young, Monarchs catchers, smacked 3 hits, including the first inning triple, as the Kansas City Monarchs won 10-4 over Grover Cleveland Alexander's House of David team. That's in 1933. Well, let's see. What do I want to unpack on that? Well, okay, let's unpack something. T.J. Young. T.J. Young was out of Tatum, Oklahoma. Now, I didn't know T.J., but I knew his brother, Maurice Doolittle Young. Anyone by the nickname Doolittle Young. And in 1927, they both played for the Kansas City Monarchs. One was a catcher, one was a pitcher. T.J. Young was an outstanding hitter, and he would have been a great Major League Baseball player. 1934, he played against Dizzy Dean during the Dizzy Dean barnstorming tour. I wrote about that in my book, the Dizzy and Daffy Dean barnstorming tour, race media, and America's national pastime. And in that particular book, and at that particular day, when I talked about it, T.J. Young hit Dizzy Dean like he was a schoolboy, and T.J. Young was quite proud of that because of he's hitting one of the greatest pitchers in the world at that particular time, and he hit him with authority, and that was T.J. Young. T.J. Young ended up passing away in Seattle, and having known his brother, Maurice Doolittle Young, was quite influential on me as a young guy, just starting out to do history. And I used to go and visit him. He lived in the Parade Park Homes there in Kansas City, right off maybe a couple of blocks from where the current Negro League Baseball Museum is today. And so I would go and visit him, and he would talk not only about baseball, but he would talk about religion. And because of him, I ended up acquiring a lot of interest in the House of David, Benjamin Pornell. But Dulu Young also talked about Daddy Grace and Father Divine. He was a Catholic, so he talked about the Pope. And I learned a lot about him. He also was a history buff, and he would tell me a lot about Haile Selassie. And so having these people in my lives really helped me to develop as a young person who was interested in history. So I can't talk about T.J. Young without mentioning his brother Maurice Dulu Young. And of course they were part Choctaw Indian from Oklahoma. And so whenever I get out to Oklahoma, I've been out there quite a bit, and I get out to, well, actually I've been all over Oklahoma. I get to Muskogee, but those guys grew up around Okmulgee, Oklahoma. So Oklahoma is an interesting place. So I always like to go there. You know, one place I don't get a chance to go very often, and so if you know somebody down there, I would love to go to Texas. I have not been back to Texas, wow, I think since maybe the 90s to speak. I was in Sherman, Texas. I presented in Houston before, but that was back in the 90s. I was scheduled to do some things with the Texas Humanities Council in 2020, and you know what happened in 2020. Nobody went anywhere. So anyway, these are just some things that happened on August the 16th with a little commentary. Once again, I try to tell people that this is not things that I've read in books. You know, I've actually gone to some of these places and lived this history. And so what I'm giving you is a little bit different than what some other people will give you. And I'm not the old station to station person that says, well, he played for this team this year, that team next year. I try to give you a live and authentic history related to these individuals, especially if it was people I knew. So I'm going to sign off for now. It's Saturday morning. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I do want to recognize a few people. Let's see, there's Tay Davis. I'm not sure where you guys are from. You can always let me know. And then someone says Gino Lagisi. Hello, Mr. Dixon. Thank you for the amazing work you do. Thank you very much. And one of these days I'll have to come in and tell you about between 2014 and 2019, I took a 200 city tour, and I will probably have to come in and talk about that. I thought about writing a book about it. I kept all my notes from all the cities I went to, but I just haven't sit down and begin to write on it. I am right now working on a revision of my 1905 Philadelphia Giants book as part of the Great Team series, and I have a few other things I'll be doing later on related to some other players. So thank you guys. Have a good day, and if there's any questions that you have, shoot those questions to me, and the next time I come on, I'll try to address some of those questions if you have those. All right, so thank you guys. It's been a pleasure talking to you today about baseball history. August 16th, you pick the year.